Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 5th of June 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, as I said, good morning guys. I hope you're having a wonderful morning today, so wherever you are, but for now, let's jump into the charts and let's see what's happening here. Basically, looking at the FTSE 100 here, that's the first chart I want to talk about. A while ago, or should I say last week, the index traveled lower and managed to test this key area of support near the 7,150 level. But as you can see on Monday, the index fell sharply here and tested one of our other key support zones near the 7,080 zone, approximately there. Slightly below that we do have another good potential support zone, but that wasn't reached, and that's near the 7,065 zone. So it basically had a nice rebound from the 70.80, traveled back above the 7,150 level and made its way all the way here towards the 7,220. I also talked about that area. You can see that this is where the index kind of stalled at, and it closed yesterday slightly below that, but still it's currently sitting here. So what we're going to do here right now is we're going to keep a close eye on some of these downside resistance lines. These are a bit of a tentative ones, but we're still, just for the sake of it, we'll keep a close eye on it, because if this pushes higher and manages to break above this this little short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 22nd of May, now this of course increases the chances for a further move higher, but again, it wouldn't be a huge move, and then we will only target the area around the 7,280 zone, so which previously acted as a good area of support and also resistance. So and also it would coincide here with this another downside resistance line taken from the high of the 23rd of April. So for now, be very careful with the indices. Of course, like I said, yesterday the equity markets showed some good performances, but still the downside risks remain, and of course all this is due to the geopolitical tensions. So for now, we're gonna keep it short and simple. We're gonna aim for slightly higher levels if we see a good clear break above this little downside, this little short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 22nd of May. And then like I said, we'll target the 7,280 and this this other downside resistance line. So in terms of examining lower levels again, well, as you can see by my arrow here, still ideally we would like to see another drop below the 7,150. This is when we will start considering downside again. We will aim for the 7,080 zone again. Slightly below that, like I said, we do have this 7,065 area, but if those two fail to withhold, now this is where it could turn out to be ugly for this index, and we could see further slides to the downside here. So for now, be very careful. Of course, it seems like that the downside could be slightly off the table, but in this market conditions, anything can happen. So that's why for now, of course, we will aim for a little bit higher, but we need to see that nice good confirmation break first. Jumping into a few pairs now very quickly. So that's AUDCAD that I wanted to talk about first. Now, of course, looking at this picture here, the AUDCAD did have a nice move here, especially last week when it managed to finally break this downside resistance line taken from the high of April, and excuse me, and managed to break it to the upside, traveled higher, did push above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, but as you can see now it's sliding back down. Now, just to kind of mention that the Canadian dollar is currently on the stronger side, so there's a lot of other currencies that are pushing lower against the Canadian dollar. So for now, and like I said, Aussie dollar is no exception. Although the kind of on the Aussie showed some good performance, the only thing is that also this pair, this currency, Australian dollar, could be still vulnerable to any bad headlines coming out of the trade talks between China and US. So for now, of course, the fact that it's now trading below the pivot, that's of course raising a little bit of concerns for the bulls here. We may see this one traveling lower if it continues to struggle, let's say, to push back above its 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. If it does struggle, then well, we could see a small move lower here. Potentially we will aim for let me just adjust a few levels here, guys. Initially, we will aim for the 0.9325 zone, approximately there, but slightly below that we do have the 0.9310, which also could be a good potential target, as it was a very nice area of support here back on the 30th of May, and we could maybe see this one getting tested again. We're not going to drag this one lower yet, because we want to see if the 0.9310 level holds. We may see a small rebound, and this could actually mean that the pair is now could be in somewhat of a range, but again, that's too early to talk about. Just keep this in mind, just keep this as an idea. So in a way, if something like this happens, then we might see this one kind of ranging in a little bit until kind of further notice, until it kind of figures out what it wants to do. For now, like I said, we are gonna remain very careful here. If this gets a nice push above the 200 EMA and starts pushing above the recent highs near the 0.9397 zone, something like that, approximately there, then well, we could target some higher areas. Initially, we'll aim for the 0.9432, which marks here the high of the 9th of May, and then the next potential area of resistance could be seen here near the 0.9455 zone. So keep your eyes on that. But again, like I said before, we could get comfortable with higher levels. Ideally, we would like to see a nice good push above these recent highs. For now, do not exclude the possibility of seeing a small correction to the downside, and as I said, the 0.9310 level, that's where we're going to be keeping a close eye on. If it breaks below this, then we could see a further slide lower, and then we'll take it from there, see how it performs, and then we'll try to find and see where it could get its or where it could find its support, a good support area. USDCAD, very quickly on this one. So I talked about USDCAD this week already, and this is what I was telling you guys. Last time I talked about it, and we were still trading in this little territory here, just near this 200 EMA, between the 1.3424 level and the 1.3450. Now, what I was saying, that we need to wait for a clear break either through the upper side here or through the lower side on here near of the one, or through the 1.3424 levels. There we go. So we got our break. That's great. That's good news for the bears. And as I said, also the next target for us is going to be this area right here, the lower side of this range here that the pair was trading in for quite a while. So as you can see, it managed to test that area, and it's currently testing that area, this area near the 1.3370 The big question here is, will we get a break or not? I mean, it is quite extended already to the downside, quite oversold in the shorter time frame. So in a way, we could see maybe a small rebound. If we do see a rebound, then what we're going to aim here for, initially we'll aim for today's pivot. If that rebound happens today, today's pivot is near this 1.3407, something like that, slightly above that. Like I said, we do have this 1.3424 zone, which also could provide some good resistance. And let's say if we do see that nice good rebound all the way here back to the 1.3424, now this is where it could become exciting, because we will have to keep a close eye on if it holds. This is where we could see another leg of selling, and maybe this time the 1.3370 level could break, and we could see a further slide lower. Now, if let's say the 1.3370 level breaks straight away without retracing back to the upside, then well, brace yourselves. We could see maybe a test of this area near the 1.3340, or this, we could see a test of this upside, this long-term upside support line taken from the low of the 1st of February 2018. So keep your eyes on this one. This is where the rate could stall, and we'll have to see what it wants to do further, if it wants to rebound and push higher, or actually this is going to be the moment where it actually breaks below it and travels lower. The only thing is that we'll wait for a clear break, and ideally we'll wait for a close below this upside support line, and ideally a close of a daily candle below the upside support line before we could examine further deeper kind of moves lower. For now, from the very short-term perspective for today, like I said, keep your eyes on a potential maybe retracement here, as we are quite oversold here on the shorter time frames. But if it's, let's say, fails to even drive higher here, or fails to even let's say even hit the pivot, today's pivot near the 1.3407, then well, we could see another leg of selling, and this is, like I said, when we will target the possible break here of the 1.3370 and this upside support line. For us to look at higher levels, again, the 1.3450, that's the level for us to watch, and ideally this, of course, if we see a push above the 1.3450, this would automatically place the rate back above the 200 EMA, maybe even actually by the time it gets here, maybe it could also place the pair back above all these other EMAs, and this could open the path towards the upper side of this previous range here. We're still kind of in a play, but well, actually no, this is the range that was the pair was trading in previously. Of course, it broke it here to the upside, so we'll aim for the 1.35 level if we see a nice good push above the 1.3450. For now, it seems that this scenario could be slightly off the table. We will keep a close eye on this one here. EURGBP very quickly. So finally, could be showing some signs of weakness. I mean, we did have a fantastic rally here starting from the 5th of May, and you can see that it pushed higher. Of course, be very careful, because as you can see, the pair is currently balancing around its 21 EMA, and you can see by the history here how it balanced previously and how it behaved near this 21 EMA. So it always kind of hanging around above it. So if we see a drop below this, then yep, that's great, that's good news for the bears. But if it starts falling below the 0.8832 zone, now this is where we will aim for lower areas, like for example 0.8790, or even below that. For now, we're going to remain very cautious. We're going to keep an eye on this level here near the 0.8875. A nice good push back above it could open the path towards the 0.8905, which was near the yesterday's high, and then we will, if that fails to withhold, then we'll target the upside, further upside. But for now, that's the situation. Be very careful. Be very careful with this one. Keep an eye on the 0.8832 here. A drop below this could potentially send this one a little bit lower. For now, we're going to, like I said, just continue observing it and keep an eye on some of these key levels that I talked about. And GBPAUD very quickly on this one. I talked about GBPAUD yesterday, and I kept saying the same thing. Watch this falling wedge formation. I mean, If this gets broken and if we see a clear break above the 1.8195 level, this could potentially lead towards higher levels. I mean, this all could play out according to textbooks where such formations kind of tend to break to the upside, but for now let's not rush into this yet. We need some confirmation breaks first. If we see a push above the 1.8195, then yep, that's great news. Could be great news for the bulls, and we could see this one traveling further up here. If this suddenly drops below the 1.8095 zone or 81 and 1.8095, which is marked by the lows here of the low of the 20th of February and the 17th of April. This is where the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could see a further slide lower. Our target then will be around the 1.80, 1.7990, approximately around there. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Let me just quickly drag this arrow here for our future reference. This is what we will be targeting right now. So yep, basically, guys, I hope you found it useful. I really wish, I mean, as I said, I really, like I said, I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to join me in my next video, I will be happy to see you there. The only thing is that there won't be any Traders Tea Time later on today, or any videos tomorrow, so we will resume back on Friday. So I hope you guys have a wonderful time, a wonderful trading session, and yep, I'll see you back on Friday. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.